and welcome. So that is what we are doing in meditation, and that's why we sit still, and that's why we have a quiet place, because we are made up of energy and frequencies. We are made up of atoms, and science has proven that we have more space in our body than we have matter. So when we meditate, we are focusing on that space, and this is why the yogis call it prana, the Chinese call it qi, and the Japanese call it ki. Because this vibrant energy, when we learn how to connect with it, benefits our body, mind, and spirit. So they came up with the science of pranayama, control of prana, so that we can, it is a method that helps us to deepen the meditation. Because prana, that source that is within us, and how I got to really understand it is actually at school as a child. I went to a Catholic school and we studied the Bible, and it said, and the Lord God took the dust off the ground and breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life, right? So we are made out of breath and energy. And that's why they say the divine is in us. We have the divine breath, we have the divine energy, we have the divine consciousness, because it breathed into us the breath of life. So meditation is a place where we can get back to that source, that beginning, that breath. That's where we came from. And of course, when we get so involved in the world, we're so real. I mean, look at our bodies, look at our eyes, nose, mouth, our hands, our homes. Everything feels so solid, this owl. And we think everything is so real, everything is so solid, but really it isn't. It isn't. It's all an illusion. And that's fine if we feel it's real, because that's what we came to feel. We came here to Earth to experience these things. And we got so caught up with all the chatter, with all the materialism, with all the, really, the possessiveness, the desires, the ownership. This is our problem. The ownership of things. This is my house, this is my friend, this is my wife, this is my husband, this is my daughter, this is my son. It has to be mine. And that stops the flow of meditation. And this is why Sri Patanjali tells us the two wings that we have to get to the path of peace is practice and non-attachment. Practice everybody can do. Many people can sit down and practice. But the difficult part is letting it go, letting the attachment go. And today we will have some questions, I hope, that will bring this up. So let me start with, from continuation of last week, the next question. Hey, Anna, this is a message from Georgia. Hey, Anna, I thought of a topic too. Perhaps we could discuss taking time out to go within, concerning how busy with our day-to-day lives. So how are we able to remain focused and prioritize yoga? I know nothing stays the same, but in an ever-changing environment, how do we keep our practice solid? It is an ever-changing environment, and life will forever be an ever-changing environment. There are two things we know in life. Everything changes and death, and yet most people fear change and they fear death. And it makes me laugh, because those are the only things we know for sure will happen. Our cells will change, we'll get older. We know things change, life changes, and we know everybody dies, and yet nobody wants to talk about it. And everybody avoids it. And this is the greatest cosmic joke. And people fear it when there's nothing to fear. We know that is the only truth, the really only truth we can ultimately depend on. So the first thing is, so how do we continue to practice in an ever-changing world? In fact, it is vital to practice in an ever-changing world because it makes you strong. It helps you to adapt, adjust, and accommodate. If everything stayed the same, there would be no work for us to do. There's no testing of how strong we are. There is no challenge. And when there's no challenge, guess what happens to the human mind? It gets very bored. It gets really very bored. So first and foremost, start first with a formal practice. It is really important to schedule this in routinely. Doesn't matter, so you have a job. Your job starts at 8 o'clock. Somebody once told me in India, Nalanie, if you get up 1 minute early every day, after 30 days, you have 30 minutes. And all you have to do is get up earlier 1 minute per day. And I thought that was such good advice. So my advice is fix the practice. I like to say early morning. Why? Because you set the day. Sometimes when you come home in the evening, a lot has happened. It may be a good day, maybe a bad day. Good day, you're able to meditate. Bad day, all the thoughts come in. But if you start the day with meditation, then your day is more likely to go well because you remind yourself that. So make formal practice to start. It is vital. It is vital. So you make a commitment. Make a promise to yourself. That's what I did. I made a promise 30 years ago that I would not eat until I meditated. 30 years later, I've not broken it. I've been on a plane, I've been in hospitals, I've been in sick beds, but I have not broken it. Even if the meditation is 10 minutes instead of the 1 hour, but I'll do it. So, and I think this gives us a very good grounding. Why? Because for me, this space that I talk about, the atom, when you meditate, you actually get in touch with it more and more. And the longer you do it, the more you're aware of this energy, this consciousness in you, the more you are. And the more that you are aware, the more you want to be with it all the time. It creates a feeling of love. You don't know why, but it feels like you are so loved. That's all I can tell you. And because you can feel that energy in your fingers, that's why I like you to be aware of these things that you are feeling. It's your nervous system waking up to where you're connected with. You see, if you look at your spine, they are like wires, and our brain, they connect to the above. So, you know, as the Bhagavad Gita says, we are upside down trees with the roots up there. So our roots should be with consciousness. And this is our temporary home. And our leaves should give shade to people who are here and fruit to those who need it. So first of all, when you really know this, then you will want to meditate every day. When you're sick and tired of the anguish of, but why, but me, but this, but I'm a victim. When you're sick and tired, there's no justice in the world. Why worry about it? There will never be. There'll always be good and bad in this world. Real justice lies in the bigger picture, okay? Don't worry so much about those things and just hone in. What is your deep burning desire? What is your deep burning desire? Know yourself. Look at your faces. When are you the most happiest? When you're at peace, when you're content. So know that. And when you start to meditate, this contentment grows, it grows, it grows. You know, many people say, oh, well, it's too hard. The mind goes, does so much chatter. Yes, first it does so much chatter. And the first step is we change the negative chatter to the positive chatter. We call it Pratipaksha Bhavana, as you all know. After we have done this, then the mind becomes quite quiet. And then we learn to listen to it and allow the thoughts to flow. When you start to see that you are listening to it, the question comes, who is the witness? Who is the witness? And the curiosity grows. I am the witness. So when you start to understand the witness is in me, I am the witness, and yet I am not the witness, because there I've got my crazy mind going. And how come I'm witnessing this crazy mind or this peaceful mind? What's going on here? Is there a second person? Yes. It's like Upanishads say, and I just love this quote, and I quote it so many times. It's like two golden birds perched on the self same tree, the ego and the self. Two golden birds are in you, your ego and your higher self. The ego eats the sweet and sour fruits of this earth. We enjoy this earth, but the self just watches, looks on. That's always peaceful. That's just watching. That's just still. Blessed are the pure, they shall see God. It's pure. There's no judgment there. You see, where there is judgment, where there's constant judgment, oh, she's not so good, she pretends to be this, or he's not like this, he pretends to be. Where there's constant judgment, there's no stillness. So these are the things to watch initially. And then when you get tired of all that chatter, which is exhausting, then you don't even have that in your mind. So what happens when you step out of your meditation room? You take that strength with you and you apply it to your day. So the moment your mind goes off, you bring it back. Yesterday, I had a few people here with Raj Yoga, people around this area, because we can't have more than 6. And they said, Nalanie, could you please teach us more? And one girl came, Giovanni, gave a lovely talk. And she said, you know, one of the hints that she learned, and I thought this was really sweet, is you make a circle on the palm of your hand. You draw a circle on the palm of your hand. And then during the day, every time you, like during your work and you get frustrated and you get angry, you look at that dot and you remember who you are. It's so clever, isn't it? And so easy to do. So tomorrow, I would love you to all to try it. Meditate in the morning, put that dot, and during the day when you get hysterical, this goes wrong or that goes wrong, remind yourself. Or you get overexcited, it's so brilliant, I'm so brilliant, and then you go, come down to earth again, you know. I'm neither so brilliant or neither so dumb, I'm just average. Just look at the dot. Stillness is what you want. Stillness, peace, stillness. High highs bring low lows. So, and that's, you just try that tomorrow. And that's how you can practice during your day. In your job, you're supposed to focus on the job. You have the work, you have work to do on earth. We have a body, we ask for a certain mission. Whatever job we're doing, we should do with total focus. Total focus. Why do we lose the focus with whatever we have to do? Okay, for example, if you going to make a good meal, okay, some friends are coming over and you're excited, you buy all the ingredients, you're going to cook them a delicious meal. You're very focused, you meditated that morning, suddenly you get a phone call. Do you know this has happened? And do you know this has gone wrong? Da 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 da. So you put down the phone and you're about to cook this delicious meal, and just 5 minutes before you were so calm, going to do the mantras. So now you're thinking, oh my God, this has happened and what's going to happen? And so the food is getting all these feelings. So when you look at your hand and remember that circle, no. There's nothing I can do about that situation now. I've heard some not very nice news. So what I'm going to do is the only thing I can do is continue with my work, which I set up to do, is to cook this meal. So I'm going to focus on it. And the mind will come back, oh, but this person did this is a really horrible thing. You take a few deep breaths, you look at your ingredients, and then you say, may this food bless those people who are suffering. And then when you're cutting, you're peeling your carrot, and you're cutting the carrots in slices. You are thinking, oh my God, this food is divine. It came from the soil. Where did the soil come from? And then you go into creation. And before you know it, you've in a very beautiful world of creation and divinity. And then and you're just focusing. All you're doing is focusing on what you are doing right now. And that's how you do it. So when we do things badly, when our minds go everywhere, it's somewhere else and we're doing something else. We're not totally focused. That's why, the Japanese have the Japanese Tea Party. I'm sure many of you heard about it. And they do that as a meditation. And they take the cup of tea. And I've been to Japan when I was young, 4 times with my dad. And it's really so wonderful. And of course, when I was young, it's like, why are they so slow to pour a cup of tea? Everybody was so still and so quiet. I mean, I didn't know better. My mind was everywhere. Just get to it, guys. Why do you want to take 10 minutes to pour a cup of tea? Do you know? And then to look at the cup and then to observe it and then to drink it and now I totally understand it. But there was a holiness in it. I did see that. I felt an energy around that focus. There wasn't energy. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about it. I would have forgotten that incident. But obviously, even though I was 12 or 13, it imprinted my mind. And I remember that scene of holiness, of peace. I remember myself totally impatient. And now I see the same scene and I see myself totally patient. Are you understanding? We can do this memories in time. So meditation can really clean up our past acts and what's going to happen in the future by understanding, by working on our intellect, right? Or by working on our intellect. And how do we work on our intellect? Why am I meditating? Who am I? What is the truth? Why am I here? And then with these constant questions, you can meditate throughout the day. And then when your mind goes all over the place, you go, it's okay. I'm human. I'm having a bad day and I'm just going to sit still and let the bad day pass. Let it pass. Don't fight it. It will pass. The thing is, we get so stressed out, even about having a bad day. Everybody has a bad day. That's part of the ego, right? The self, the two birds on the tree, the ego and the self. So long as you can watch it and say, wow, you're really having a bad day. Don't hurt anybody. Don't cause any harm. Go lock yourself in a room, like Master Shivananda would say. And when you get through it, then come out and don't hurt the world by your bad day. But you can do that. You can watch it and you can deal with it because you're dealing with your own mind. The bad day comes from here, and you start to realize. So this is how, when you feel all these things, then you are very happy to focus on whatever you were given, whatever job you're given. You're working with a business, your job is, I was working in a shop. When I started this, my job was, when the goods came in to iron, and I used to really dislike steam ironing all the clothes. But when I started meditating, my master told me, the first thing you do is you stop complaining and you purify your mind, second thing. So then I would do with the steam iron, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Oh, look how pretty, I took away all the creases. Now when I hang it up, actually it's a piece of art. And then I felt quite happy. A job I didn't like became quite a pleasant job. And I thought, well, I have to do this job like 8 hours a day. So, and it became a prayer. It became like the tea ceremony, And then the second change was customers. You have good customers, you have bad customers. I remember when they were nasty, I used to be such a wimp. And I would cry and go to my husband and say, I don't want to work in a shop. I never wanted to work in a shop. Why did you bring me to Gibraltar? So that was my reaction in the past. And when I started to meditate, and I thought, and I remember one customer shouting at me, he had bought a suitcase, went all around the world. 6 months later, brought it back and said it was defective. And you could see he was traveling with it. So he started screaming instead of going crying and arguing back. I said, oh, would you like a seat? Please sit down. I'm so sorry that suitcase caused you so much trouble. let me get you a cup of tea. So I made him a cup of tea. He was shocked, right? He just didn't know how to react. And then I said, please, I don't want to argue with you. You are right, I'm right. Please go and complain at the consumer department and let them decide for both of us. I said, I don't want to argue with you. You were my customer. Why should I fight with you? But if you want to complain about me, go to the consumer department. That switch is what meditation gave me, the ability to watch the situation and how to attend to it differently. And that is so empowering. That makes us feel so powerful. People cannot manipulate us. There's no wrong, there's no right. They're just solutions. And I knew, but I said to him, no, I know you've been traveling all over the world with this, and how ridiculous to come back to me after, go to the airlines, claim from the airlines, not from me. But I knew he would just shout and scream. So you see, this is the ability you start to develop. And if he didn't calm down, which he did, and he never went to consumer department, by the way, he never did. And he did come back and buy other things from the shop. So it was kind of a way of saying sorry without saying sorry. He came back again and again. So what I'm saying to you, basically answering your question, Georgia, it's you have to make a formal practice every day first. Then when you become steady in that formal practice, then the practice expands to your whole day. Now, many people after 6 months of formal practice, they say to me, Nalanie, oh, I don't need to meditate anymore. I meditate all day. I say my mantra all day. Really? Wow, you're very lucky. After 6 months, you can achieve this. Really, you're really an awakened soul, because I can't. What do I see 6 months later? Fall apart at the smallest things. And this is why I love the Raja Yoga Sutra. Sri Patanjali tells us very clearly to practice for a long time without a break and all your heart. You will know when you no longer need to sit for some time. You will know. You will know, because the peace will settle in you. And when the peace is more powerful than the noise in your head, you will know you have received the benefit of your practices. And I have known many of you for many, many years, and I have seen you must realize this, that you have achieved quite a lot in your life. It's hard to watch yourself. This is why I advise you to keep a spiritual diary. Keep a diary. You'll see 2 years later how different you are, how much you've improved in yourself, in your speech, in the way you talk, in the way you look after things. You're not so careless anymore. You're not so lazy anymore. You're more awake and aware. You're awake and aware of life. You're more awake and aware of death. You're more awake and aware that this is just a short holiday. And when that happens, then you want to ensure that when the time comes, when your holiday is over, that you are ready for the transition to the next one. And you want to make sure that when you're prepared, you're not frightened. And it's exciting because that's all we know. And every single scripture says that we're eternal. Every single scripture, we never die. Wow, I can't even think that eternity. My human body and mind can't do it, so I don't even go there. All I know is, wow, I want to make sure, because I understand karma, cause and effect. There's no punishment from God. I really don't ever believe that. But there's cause and effect of what we do. So our actions create the reactions in our life, creates the next lives we have. So now that I know this, you want to really be in control. You want the higher self to be more in control with the mind stuff. So you will work towards meditation. You will work to creating less harmful karma. You will work with your speech. You will want to with all your heart and soul. And the fact is, you wouldn't be here at this talk if you didn't want to. And that's what you need to tell yourself more. We're very good at putting down ourselves. I think it is important not to put up yourself either. It is important to really please understand we are all part of the divine whole. We're just an atom in the divine whole. And if we vibrate at a higher level, the whole vibrates at the higher level. Simple. It's selfish. The happier you are, the happier your home is. Selfish. The more miserable you are, the more miserable your home will be. Truthful. So that's all. We just have to adapt, adjust, and accommodate ourselves. Now, being in meditation gives us that ability to do it throughout the day. And that's how you do it, Georgia. Lovely question. So the next question, I hope I answered it.
She says thank you.
Oh, she's so welcome. Yeah, the checkbox is here. Okay. Rachel asked this question. No, this is Debbie's next, sorry. Debbie asked, what to do when thoughts come in, even though I am doing my mantra? Brilliant. Your mantra becomes part of the witnessing. So you see, the thoughts never stop. You see, the mind is the instrument where the thoughts come in all the time, all the time. That's the instrument. It comes, I've got this light on, do I need this? Is this keyboard here? Is the chat? The mind just reflects everything that's happening. When you repeat your mantra and the thoughts are happening, if you just stick to your mantra, it creates a flow. The mantra becomes steady and you just watch the thoughts flowing with it. And if you find yourself getting stuck in the thoughts, you bring back your mantra and they happen together. And that's really exciting because, wow, it shows that you have a powerful practice already, that you can have the mantra and the mind is still going. You're able to do both, which is very powerful. And you're able to watch all of it, even more powerful. So yes, the thoughts will come and go. That is the idea. You can't stop them completely. But the mantra will go louder and louder. The more aware you are of this wonderful practice that you are doing it with your thoughts, then you get excited. Oh God, I'm going to make the mantra louder now. And you make it louder and louder and louder. Then after a time, after you make it so loud, the thoughts will just keep going, but they will have no hold on you. They cannot hold you anymore. They cannot take hold of you. And Debbie, I know you're asking this question. Boy, I met you the other day and your whole energy level, and I'm not just saying this, I never mince my words. Your whole energy level was like, you were like, what did I tell you? You looked like an 18-year-old girl when you walked into the room with a cap and your t-shirt and your leggings, and wow, I go, this girl's got prana. And because that's what I saw, and not only me, everybody was in the room. Were you there? Yeah, and I was here, and Les, were you there? Yeah, we all saw the same, so it wasn't just me. We just looked, wow, this meditation is really working. And she said, I'm trying to do it every day as I promised you. That was the difference. That was the difference. But sometimes you can't see yourself. Now, I haven't seen her for 3 months. So, of course, she promised me 3 months ago, whenever it was, or 6 months, whatever it was, and she hadn't stopped. And now I see her 6 months later. She can't see herself, but we could all see her. There was an energy that I'd never seen in her ever in all these years that I've known her. It was powerful. And it was effective in the sense of, it was just so peaceful with joy and the peace. You know it when you recognize it. So to tell you the truth, that shows that your practice is strong. So carry on, make the mantra really loud. So the next question is from Rachel. On this path, we do our best always to follow the teachings and to be kind, compassionate, forgiving, acting with love, beginning to be mindful and present more and more, success in our daily lives. And then one day you get up and it feels like you just can't grab hold of it and focus. Welcome, Rachel, to the world of the yogis. We are human. And this is our test. And even Sri Patanjali in the yoga science tells us these are our obstacles. I love it because he warns us. So one day suddenly you're doing really well, and one day you just feel, I'm falling down, what's happened? And he tells us, watch out for these things: disease, dullness, doubt, laziness, carelessness, false sensuality, slipping from ground gained, and failure to reach firm ground. And I've left one out, but it doesn't matter. There's enough in there for everybody to work on. There are 9 of them. So, and he tells us, watch out. So watch out. What's happened? Your mind's just become dull. You woke up that morning and you got become a little tamasic. So what do you do when these things happen? The body is readjusting. It's readjusting. It's changing its frequency. And it needs to have some time to absorb. Yes, everything's going well. When it's going very well, you're very happy. What happens when it goes bad? Is life all life does. It's testing you. Can you get through this? And that's all that's happening. That's really all that's happening. Isn't that interesting? It's all that's happening. It's testing you. Okay, now you've lost it all. Are you going to panic? Are you going to be afraid? Are you going to think no big deal, one day, bad day, 2 bad days, I'll just sit and meditate anyway. Okay, it might be 5 minutes, I'll put on some music, do some mantras, but I'm going to sit and do it. And you will see if you just continue that 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, and it gets better. Now, if it doesn't get better after a week, I suggest you go to a spiritual person and get some help, in the sense that you're starting to fall into a place of feeling, I can't, I won't. And before you fall deep, get some advice and let somebody push you up and let you know this is fine. The soul sometimes does that. It goes backwards to surge forwards. And why does this happen? I have learned in my own life, every time I've gone backward, the lesson was humility. I ran too fast and I thought I got it, and I got nothing. And it falling actually made me feel very, very humble and taught me to understand the path of many who fall. And I'm very grateful for those dark periods. But I knew that. So I didn't worry about them. Do you see, when you know that can happen, then you just allow. And the wonderful mantra there is, this too shall pass. And then I would visualize myself like in 1 month being back to that energy field. And when it would happen sooner, I would be really excited. Wow, I gave it a month and it's even sooner. You see, because there's no stress on it. I'm not judging myself. Do you see what's happening? I'm accepting that I'm human. I'm accepting that this is part of my journey and there must be a reason for it. So don't panic, accept. And you really do, when you feel, you really get a little down and depressed. And I remember watching myself have those days and I go, just, it will pass, it will pass, it will pass. Repeat your mantra, put positive music around you, be around uplifting people. And it does. And the uplifting people help a lot. They help a lot. And falling for me is wonderful. Really, it is wonderful. It makes us so humble. Because I have seen people starting and they get successful, like you said, and they do all the right things. They're kind, they're compassionate, they're so good. And then somebody reacts badly. And they go, I'm doing everything right. Why is my mom reacting like this to me? I don't deserve it. That I comes back again, the ego comes back again. Instead of saying, I'm doing everything right. Wow, my mom is reacting like this to me so badly. It's because I have to learn to not let that manipulate me. That I must forgive her and understand she's coming from a different place. And that's my next job. That's my next job. I need to understand her. Why is she like this? Does she love me? Yeah, she does love me. So why does she behave like this? It's nothing to do with me. So, and then you start to build up compassion. When you build up compassion, then you understand that you had that issue of reacting. Your issue was you react to people too quickly. As soon as they're negative, you're fine when things are going right. When things are going wrong, you can't deal with it. So you haven't really learned to balance yet. Good. Work harder on yourself. Work harder on yourself. That's all. That's all you do. So, and don't worry about those days that get you down. It's just the I feeling. I thought I achieved this and I haven't achieved anything. You've achieved something by even recognizing it. Do you see? You've recognized it. If you can see it, you can change it. This is the wonderful thing. Then you sit in the quiet with your sadness, accept that there is no one to blame, and start blessing that mother that has caused you this sadness, or that brother or that partner, because it's made you see how affected you get when things don't work your way. When things don't work your way. That life doesn't always work our way, by the way. And it's nice when we can laugh at it. So that's what you do. And don't worry, if you've had a good practice, Rachel, it will come back again in a few days. It will. It definitely will. You're doing all the right things. Being kind, compassionate, and forgiving. You keep doing that. Don't give up ever for the rest of your life. I have another one, the last question for today. I received this quote today. Let go of what does not serve you, to let abundance in. Believe in your strength to overcome. Meditation helps us grow spiritually and face life's challenges. Exactly, it does. My question is, though, when do you know to let go and when to work through the hardships? Okay, I'll give you a nice example of this. When I still do, do consultations with couples, for example, and they'll go, one person will come to me and say, you know, I want to leave, I can't deal with it anymore, and I don't know what to do, but you know, but I hear the but word. So I say to them, if you want to leave so badly and this person is so horrible to you, why haven't you left? No, but because it's not that easy and we have kids and we have this and we have that. Okay. So this used to happen in the early days, right? And then one day I called Gurudev, my master, Sri Swami Satchidananda, was just there. And I said to him, Gurudev, I don't know what to answer people when they say that. And he says, you tell them, when the pot is too hot, you're cooking and the pot is too hot, are you going to ask, shall I let it go? You're not. You're going to let it go, because if you don't let it go, it's going to burn you. It's not yet hot enough. You'll keep holding on to it. So many times I have seen when these couples, of course, there's sometimes when the pot is too hot and they don't want to let go, but I'll go into that scenario next. I see these couples that really the pot is not too hot. That's why they're saying, but if they're not really ready. So I said, bring your partner in. And sometimes it's just getting them together and seeing that they just need some counseling. And you know, what I've always seen in all these cases, oh, but you don't give me enough time, but you don't listen to me, and you are not hearing what I said, and you're not hearing what I said. Well, not listening to each other. It's, I need this and you don't provide it. I need this and you don't provide it. Whoa, so much I, as my master said, I, me, and mine, boom, it grows, it bursts. So I get them to sit down and see this. I get them to sit down and see it. And many times they've resolved it, many times. The pot wasn't actually hot enough. That's why they couldn't really let go. Then I had another case, where the pot is really hot. The person is emotionally so damaged that they're crying, they're antidepressants. And I go, why are you still in this abusive relationship? You're telling me that you're being called stupid, crazy, doing yoga, nuts, mad, but really swear words every day for so many years. And then on top of it, nothing you do is good enough. You're never right, and you're totally broken. So much so that you're antidepressants. Do you want to die? Why haven't you left? Fear. Fear. What are you frightened of? What are you frightened of? Oh, I don't know how I'm going to make a living, money, material. And then it's teaching them to meditate and have faith. And many times these people have had to leave. And their lives have flowered beyond their belief. It's always difficult the first 3-4 months. And I tell them it's going to be really, really hard. And then they come back and they go, why didn't I let go before? And I said, because you were so worried about how much money you would have. Not how much peace you should have. Peace was not your criteria, but yet your soul could not take it anymore. And many times when that person who's been abused leaves, you know what happens to the person who's doing the abuse? They can't believe that that person's left. They can actually go for therapy. Whereas while the person was telling them they want, no, they leave, they go for therapy. And I sometimes think that this all had to happen for both of them to learn, one, to respect themselves, that nobody can treat me like a piece of dirt because I'm a soul. And the other one, to learn that they can't do that kind of thing. And if they do that, they lose the beauty they have in their life. They lose it. So when you talk about when to let go and when to not let go, I think there's something deep inside your soul that knows when it's time to let go. I'm talking about relationships, but with anything in life. For example, there's a job. Somebody has a job, and I've had this many times. I really hate my job. I really don't. I get up in the morning, I'm feeling sick, and they come in and tell me that, leave your job. But Nalanie, I can't. I get a good pay. Good. Then get to learn to love your job. I can't do that because I don't want to. I don't love this. I said, well, you can't have everything your way. You can't have everything your way. Okay, you need the money to pay for your home now. Okay, so I advise you, start to just be grateful that you have a job. Start to think like that. Okay, you don't like the job very much, but just be grateful. I have a job that pays for my rent, that gives me food. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Now, what you do meanwhile, on your weekends, on your time, you start to think what job you would love to have. Visualize it. And then what I want you to do is start to plan for it. And start to see yourself in a new role. And then when you are brave enough, you will have the courage. You will just know one day, now it's time to leave. And I've seen people do that. Maybe after 6 months of meditation, maybe a year. And then they leave and then they go, oh my God, I didn't realize the transition would be so easy. But more than that, when they actually do this with much consciousness and awareness and not hurting anybody around them, what I often see is the moment they leave, within 2 or 3 days, they get an offer. I don't know, the universe sends them an offer. I really don't understand this, but I've seen it hundreds of times, to do something that's more close to what they want to do. So it's really quite exciting for me to watch this. And I've watched this not one time, but many times over the years. Sometimes it's fear. It's fear of letting go, fear of change, fear of not having enough, fear. But I tell them one thing: if you stay in this relationship that's so horrible, or you stay in this job that is causing you so much pain, your life, what is it worth? Are you going to spend the rest of your life like this? Is this what you want? Or just let this go and not be afraid. Take that risk, walk the extra mile. And okay, you might be really broke for a few months, so you do without the luxury. What's stopping you? You do without that holiday. You do without those things, but then your heart will be on holiday and your creativity will be on holiday. And when you create, that's when things come your way, because creativity is connecting us to the divine. We're all about creativity, and it's the divine telling you, your soul doesn't like this anymore, time to move on. This is not your soul's journey, this is your material journey. But it's also silly to just leave a job and then depend on everybody to feed you. So you've got to really have some kind of balance to do that. So, and it does take a few months for people to learn this, or a year or 2 years. But I have seen this so many times, and it never ceases to amaze me how wonderful the universe is and how something is always provided for these people. I think they get in shock when it happens, and they go, Nalanie, why didn't I do it 6 months ago? And guess what I tell them? You weren't ready. It would have been the wrong time 6 months ago. Or why didn't I do it 5 years ago? You weren't ready. You had some more lessons to learn there. For example, you had to learn to just appreciate that you had a job. Prior to that, complaining. What did my master say? Learn to stop complaining. That's where you learn to stop complaining and being grateful. Grateful for your food. And when that takes over, life creates a new beginning for you. So that's how you learn to let go. Where you are is perfect. The desire to leave it will be, it's in you, but know that the moment where you are is perfect, even though it's unpleasant. There's something you have to learn from this unpleasantness. Shower as much understanding and love into this unpleasantness by making yourself strong, by detaching from the unpleasantness. Look at it as if you're playing a game of Monopoly or chess. And then when you're very close to your witness, you can let go of that unpleasantness. But it came to teach you. And unless you learn that, you are never going to get through it. You see, it's what I always think in my life, when I have lots of crossroads in my life, I look at what is now. What is happening in this moment now? And if at this moment now, these are the conditions, I'm needed here, I'm going to stay here. Doesn't matter what my desires are. My desires may be to go on holiday, my desires may be to go to painting classes, my desires to be this, but this is my now. This is what's been presented to me on a daily basis. I need to be present in now. If I'm meant to move, I will. And I believe in that so much that I have no doubt about now. And this is why it is so important to live in the now, in love, in acceptance, and knowing that this is all we have. So rather than I could be here and I could be there, and why couldn't I be doing this? I'm here right now, and I'm going to make the best of this moment. It's not about what I like or what I don't like. It is what it is. That's it. And when you accept it is what it is, then time is given to you to do those other things, and you don't know where it comes from. And things come your way that you don't even know where it comes from. Because you're not stressing about, oh, I said I'm going to paint a picture by this weekend and I haven't that big deal. Didn't happen. Right now, what happened? Somebody called and needed help, or this happened and I needed to do something else. Adapt, adjust, and accommodate. It's great. And then it all works out perfectly. It does. It really does. And yes, you might get exhausted because of it, because You may have to put in more time or more effort. That's life. Some days, like I said, are going to be more exhausting, and some days are going to be easy. So it's part of life. That secret word, don't complain. Don't complain. Sri Patanjali, by the practice of contentment, supreme joy is gained. Supreme joy is gained. So that's the secret. Here, I don't like where I am, but you know what? It's not as bad. It's really not so bad as I thought. I'm really quite comfortable. I can have a cup of tea. I can drink a glass of water. I'm chatting to wonderful people. It's fantastic. What's going wrong? Nothing, you know? And then you just stay in the moment, stay in the moment, stay in the moment, stay in the moment. And that's the whole practice of meditation, just to be able to focus in the moment without all those crazy desires driving you crazy, because they do. It's kind of like in the Upanishads says, when the knots when the knots of desires that strangle the heart are loosened, the mortal becomes immortal. Because it's our desires that drive us crazy. So that's why I always say human beings cannot live without a desire. Human beings cannot live without purpose. So make your purpose and your desire peace. And then you're quite safe with that, because if you have peace, means you have everything, right? If you have peace, you have everything.